Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast. It is October 15th and this is podcast number 18. We're almost at 20, pretty crazy. And a lot happened this week. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of little topics. Nothing too big, and a surprise topic. Not really a surprise topic, but we had a video that released today and there were lots of upset people. So I thought we'd discuss that a little bit. But yeah, we just have a lot of little topics to talk about. So we'll get through those as best we can. So let's get into the hockey. Let's talk about the video that was released today. And we talked about goal celebrations.
Right.
And I wanted to discuss this now because the video just released, it's fresh, and it'll give us a chance to respond. So basically our point in the video, and we all had different opinions. You had your opinion, I had my opinion, and Justin had his opinion. All different, but all similar in a way. And the point of the video was to discuss not the purpose of a goal celebration, but what is acceptable and what is not. And it's something that's very situational. It depends. And we're talking about big, glorious celebrations here. So the Ovechkin, hot stick, or the Team Mussolini, where he takes off the glove and throws it in the air and shoots it with a stick. And that one's actually okay. I'll just say right now, I agree with pretty much everything that Justin says in the video.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I'll disagree with that specific one because he did that on a very special moment, because I think he broke the rookie goal scoring record.
Oh, okay.
I think he got 50 goals or something. So that one, it did serve a purpose. But for the most of the video, I did totally agree with Justin. He was pretty harsh on a few players.
Yeah.
So we were discussing what is acceptable and what isn't. And we weren't saying that we were right. We weren't saying, we were just voicing our opinions and giving our thoughts on the situation. And people got really upset because we asked what others thought. Yeah. And instead of some people intellectually writing their comment down constructively, and there was a lot of constructive comments that people who disagreed with us, and that's totally fine. I don't want or even expect anyone to agree with me. That's not the point of the channel. The point of the channel is to create a discussion, and a respectable discussion. And some people just couldn't do that. They took liberty and they just called us names. There was a death threat comment. I had to delete that one.
I didn't. Well, I guess that's why I didn't see it. You deleted it.
Yeah, I deleted it. It was the death. It was crazy. So
that's nuts.
It's unfortunate because people can't constructively, respectfully leave an opinion about, or a comment about their opinion. Sorry, they have to go just the total other direction and just use crazy, rude words and
I think that's just a symptom of the internet generally.
Oh, totally.
People are pedal to the metal all the time. They're full bore, both fists, pounding away all the time, and they just can't make and it'll probably evolve over time, but people are prone to trying to get the maximum amount of rise by putting the most outrageous things they can in a comment. And, I think it's just the nature of the beast. But the death threat thing, that's spooky.
It's not the first.
Yeah.
It's not the first. It probably won't be the last. There's no place for that. If you want to go to some other channel and spew that crap, that's fine, go for it. But that's not going to be tolerated on our channel. The point of the channel is where people can come and respectfully have a conversation about hockey, regardless of who you cheer for. It's all about respect. And, if you want to leave a comment and it's a little sassy, that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just be respectful. I don't mind a little sass. I like a little sass.
Sass is fun.
I like sassing people back too. That's part of the fun. You get a little debate going. But it's frustrating when someone can't intellectually write a comment and make a point. They just have to go straight to, you guys are idiots.
And they know they're never going to be responsible for the comment because the internet is a hotbed of anonymity. Mm-hmm. Just imagine, you see idiot drivers every day, and every jurisdiction in North America and probably all around the world has their idiot drivers. But I think, and this is a theory that's not proven by any research, but I think if everybody's name and address was painted on the back of their vehicle, they wouldn't be
totally.
They would drive, knowing that everyone else knew who they were rather than just some random series of numbers on a license plate. If everybody knew who you were and where you lived or what your phone number was, you'd probably drive differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you would not, you're in your car, your windows are up, you're in your little personal space, and you can be a dick. And you can be a to all the people around you, but you probably wouldn't be a if you were in line at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And on the internet it's the same. You can be a because no one knows who you are.
There's no accountability on
That's
the
right.
internet. You can, and most of these people who are leaving these types of comments are people using fake accounts or just silly named accounts because they're too scared to comment with their real account with their real name, and that's what that's what's part of the internet is. And but there were lots of comments on there who disagreed with us. Like I said, totally fine to disagree with us. I actually like when people disagree with me. It creates a conversation. There's a lot of comments that disagreed, and they did it constructively. So it's like not all the comments that disagreed were negative. There were some very well thought out comments that the opposite side of the argument. Had a great time reading them. Thank you guys for leaving those, even if you disagreed and you left your comment and you said why you disagreed and you left your opinion. Thank you. That's exactly what the channel is all about.
Perfect.
It's all about respect and respecting the fellow hockey fan, because I don't understand why there has to be so much hate floating around. Like we all love the same sport. We're here to talk about it. Why do we have to hate each other?
Yeah.
Like it's just silly. So it's frustrating.
It's just the way society's going too.
Yeah.
Like everything's polarized. You're either hard left or you're hard right. And you can't be someone in the middle because you're a coward if you're in the middle. You're not taking a stand if you're in the middle.
Yeah.
And if you take a stand against someone else's stand, well, that gives you power. It's I don't know. You're mature enough. You're not a child anymore, and I'm certainly not. So these things become less important as you get older. And the people, probably the magnitude of the venom in these comments is probably directly proportional to the youth and inexperience of the commenter.
Yeah, it's definitely, and even the opinions in general have a lot to do with the age gap. When you grew up and watched hockey, there were big celebrations for big moments. Bobby Orr, like you never saw those types of celebrations for a regular goal.
No.
And when I grew up, there was a little bit more, like I said, the Yager salute. It started to get a little jazzy, and then now there's quite a bit more. So there's a generational difference there of opinions, which is totally fine. I mean, the game's changing. That's fine.
Yeah.
If kids think that is awesome, that they're all these goal celebrations are happening, these wild ones, and they think that's cool. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
And it's all about the TV, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it is. Like, I don't like the big ones that aren't from big moments. Totally fine with big celebrations for big moments. But if it's not a big moment, there's where I have an issue. There's a time and place. Each situation is unique. But it does rile the crowd up a little bit, which is it is an entertainment. Like, hockey it's a sport, it's entertainment, it's for the fans. So I get it. It's just... It can come across unsportsmanlike sometimes.
It can. And your comment earlier that it's situational is very important to remember. Not every player is in the same boat. And I'm thinking of particularly in Alexander Radulov. Alexander Radulov is just an exuberant guy.
Yeah.
He is thrilled when a goal gets scored, whether he scored it or someone else scored it.
Most of the time when someone else scores it, he gets so excited.
Whether he's on the ice or on the bench, he goes crazy. And he's really feeling it.
Yeah.
So let him feel it. Let him do his thing. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So, some people are like other people, like a Shea Weber. Shea Weber's a Vulcan. He has no emotion, right? So, maybe he's not going to celebrate. And that doesn't mean one is wrong and the other's right. It is situational. Everybody's different.
Yep.
And every circumstance, every situation is different. And there are times, I totally agree with you and Justin, there are times when, it's a huge moment. You've just scored the most goals you've ever scored in your life, or you've passed a milestone, or you're now in the top 20 for the team's history. Maybe
you're a rookie and you've scored your first goal in the NHL ever.
Yeah, or your first 4 in the case of Austin Matthews last season, He scored 4 goals, and I actually don't think he celebrated very much in those goals. I think he was probably as surprised as everybody.
Well, I think that goes back to the saying that he was probably taught. I don't know who came up with it or who said it first, but it's been said a lot around the hockey world. Act like you've done it before.
That's right.
So I think that has a lot. I think has a lot to do with it. He scored the overtime goal the other night against Montreal, and he was cool as a cucumber. Yeah, very very respectful.
Yeah, he's very cool. Like, he was obviously happy, you know, when they kind of swarmed him behind the net. He was clearly happy, but I think the appropriate level of celebration for that time of the season and that particular moment. I mean, he scored the goal not only against Montreal, which is the arch rival of the Leafs,
Yep.
but he scored it on who is, at least until this year, is considered to be the best goalie in the world. You know, all those things add together, and you steal a point in overtime after Montreal was in the other end of that game.
Oh, yeah.
And they were almost, victors in that game,
Yep.
before, just seconds before Austin Matthews scored that goal. I thought the celebration, to the extent that there was one, was perfectly appropriate.
I remember back when Mike Ribeiro used to play for Montreal, and they were playing Buffalo, and he scored the 5th goal to put Montreal up 5-0, and he went berserk. And at that time, I was infuriated. I was embarrassed for my team. Obviously, Habs fan. I was embarrassed for the Montreal Canadiens because he did this. I felt bad for the other team's fans. I felt bad for the other team. It didn't have any place. You're up 5-0 at that point. Why go through the big, giant production of a big celebration? It was silly.
You look at tennis, and it's a far different thing than hockey, but in tennis, when one player hits the ball and it hits the top of the net and just dribbles over, they actually apologize. They just got a point.
Yeah.
They didn't do it on purpose, but they hold their hand up. Oh, sorry about that. And that's in hockey. You should almost feel that way in that 5th goal.
Yeah.
You score the 5th goal, we had to do it, but
yeah.
Sorry about that. That's the way I would want to feel. But I certainly want to Ribeiro's bounced around the league for many years, probably because of attitudinal things that include that celebration.
You know what? After that, even though I'm not huge on Mike Ribeiro in general, after that, I didn't see him ever do it again. I never saw him do it again. So I don't know if he was spoken to or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, Jean Beliveau was still alive back then. Imagine bringing Beliveau down to the dressing room and saying, Mike,
Yeah.
And then pointing up at the wall at the faces of all the Canadians over the last 100 years. Mike, that's not how we roll. That would probably shut it down.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring it down a notch. I think that probably wraps it up for that topic.
Sure.
And so I'll end it with this. Someone said, "Are you guys running out of ideas? Why is this a topic? Why are we talking about this?" Obviously, people have opinions. There's over 220 comments on the video. Obviously, people have opinions. Mm-hmm. So it's not. No, we're not running out of ideas. and if anything, it's been the most successful video out of the gate in the past 2 weeks. People have opinions.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the topic is. People have opinions. That's what the point of the channel is, to talk about topics. Some topics are really important. Some topics are just, I don't know, softball topics. They're just easy. So let's move on from that.
Sure. And
I want to talk about some serious stuff now. Montreal. I don't like to talk about Montreal a lot because I know that people know that we are Canadiens fans, and I don't want this channel to be all about Montreal. It is the team we watch the most, and I feel like we're going to talk about it this week, not because we're fans of Montreal, but because everybody's talking about Montreal right now.
Yeah.
They can't score goals. They had a great game the other night against Toronto. I think it was the last night. They scored 3 goals. They were all over Toronto. Still lost the game. Mm-hmm. So they look better, which is fine. Mete looked great. Price didn't look that great, to be honest.
He did not.
But they looked better. They were cycling the puck great. They were breaking into the zone. They had lots of shots, but they still lost the game. Now, are you worried?
Not yet.
Because we're only 4 games in.
Well, yeah, and it's really it's tempting, to look at those first couple of games and then try to develop, what you think is going to happen the rest of the season. And if you're a Montreal fan and you look at those first 4 games, you're hitting the panic button. But I'm not yet. It's a long 82 games. There's 78 to go, or 77, however many it's going to be now. I'm not panicking yet. The first half of the season is when you work things out. There are things being worked out right now. Mark Streit's an example.
He didn't report to the AHL, which means his contract is now off the books of Montreal. And I believe they have $8.4 million available now. So they've jumped up in availability as far as finances go.
That's right. And Streit was a bit of an experiment.
Yep.
And I'm looking at it through his eyes. He's got a Stanley Cup ring on his finger.
Just won the Stanley Cup.
Just won the Stanley Cup. And now he's with Montreal, obviously at a discount. $700,000 is what they were paying him, plus the potential bonuses. We know that's not happening.
Yeah.
And they put him on waivers. He just wasn't, he wasn't in the game. to the degree they needed him to be.
He's slow. He's old.
He's
It's
30.
unfortunate. He's not a bad player. It's just
No.
he's just too slow for Montreal right now.
Yeah, he is, and it's unfortunate. I'm happy that Montreal gave it a try.
Yep.
And I'm happy that I think they gave him enough time in the preseason and a couple of games in the regular season to find his game, and that didn't happen. So they put him on waivers to let him clear down to the AHL, where they could work him, maybe give him more ice time, and perhaps bring him back up. But when you got a Stanley Cup ring in your finger, you don't want to go up across river to prairie and play in Laval.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't. Sorry.
So he might be going to Europe, if I understand.
Yeah, he's from Switzerland originally.
Yeah.
And there are lots of opportunities to play hockey in his home country where he would still be very competitive.
Absolutely.
And I hope he's successful over there.
No hard feelings.
Not a bit. Not a bit.
I don't know if Montreal's scoring problems has to do with the actual players. My concern is with Claude Julien. He's a very defensive-minded coach. Look what he did in Boston. That year they won the Cup. It was unbelievable how defensively impressive they were. And he's trying to do the same with Montreal. He's defense first, and he doesn't let players play sometimes, like Galchenyuk. He's given up on Galchenyuk from what I've read. He's totally given up on Galchenyuk. He's put him down to the fourth line. This was before the game against Toronto. I don't know where his status is now, but
because he did get a goal in that game.
Because he did a power play goal.
Yeah.
But from what I read, he's totally given up because he won't crash the net. He won't go close to the net. He's staying on the perimeter. Claude Julien is not happy about that, so he put him down at the fourth line, and he's not letting Pacioretty get into the positions that he needs to be. He's kind of guiding him to be a little bit more defensively minded, which is fine. It's just it feels like he's going a little bit overboard, and some of the players are getting frustrated. So they're 1-3. They've won one game, and barely, because it was in a shootout against Buffalo.
That's right.
Who has not won a game yet.
Yeah.
The only point they have is against Montreal. So, to be honest, even though I like Claude Julien, I don't know if I want to blame Galchenyuk and blame Pacioretty yet. It's an early season, or it's early in the season, sorry. We can't panic right yet.
Yeah.
If you're a Canadiens fan, are you upset? Yeah, totally. Can you panic? Probably not. It's really early.
I actually expected, with Marleau wanting to come into Montreal with the Leafs and the success they've had, early on, the first couple of games, I thought Saturday night in Montreal might actually be a blowout for Toronto.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out that way. Montreal managed to squirrel a point after playing well enough to win the game, So that's all I'm looking for at this stage. Now, when we get to late November, early December, and if Montreal's, in the bottom, in the basement,
Yep.
then I'm starting to get concerned. And I'm sure Jeffrey Molson would be starting to get concerned, and he's probably going to be leaning on Bergevin, who's going to be leaning on Julien, who's going to be leaning on the players to do something. Now, if Galchenyuk is going to be half-decent trade bait, you got to showcase him.
Yeah, put him on the first line to the second line.
That's
at least.
right. If that's the goal here is to move Galchenyuk and get an asset for him, put him on the first line. If these are games you don't expect to win anyway, throw him out there.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a prediction right now that if Montreal keeps on the trend that they are right now up until the U.S. Thanksgiving, they're toast. If they can't change their ways before the U.S. Thanksgiving, they're not making the playoffs. That's my prediction. So they got to change in the next, basically, month. So it's tough because you see Carey Price's name at the very really far down the save percentage. Where do you think he is in the save percentage and standings?
I don't want to know.
32nd.
How many teams are there?
31.
So how does that happen?
The backup goalies from some teams are outperforming him.
Yeah.
Khudobin in Boston, I think, is third or fourth in save percentage. And it's an important stat because it's not like wins or it's not like saves, like just in general saves. Save percentage is important. And he's 32nd. He hasn't been playing good. You can blame it on puck luck. You can blame it on whatever you want. I don't care. He hasn't been playing good.
Well, Carey Price's best asset has always been his positioning. He always knew where to be, and he had that sense. And I think to a large degree he still has that. But like that overtime goal that Matthews scored the other night, Carey Price was down on his knees
Yeah.
before the shot was even
Totally.
launched. And I'm no goalie coach and I never played in net, but I think you're giving up that much on the top when you're down on your knees. I mean, Carey Price is a tall guy, and that's fine. But when you drop to your knees, and I've actually been watching him do that for years, and usually he gets away with it. But
Yeah.
I think they've got a book on him now.
Totally.
Carey Price is going to go down, and he's going to be high glove side or high stick side.
Yeah, because usually they'd say go glove because the glove
yeah.
isn't strong. But
Yeah.
let's stick on the topic of Montreal just to end this really quick. This Montreal topic, they didn't sell out their opening game. How do you feel about that?
I feel, actually, in one way I feel terrible because it was quite a long string of sellouts, going a long, long way back. But on the other hand, that's a wake-up call. That's an alarm clock for Jeff Molson and Marc Bergevin. Montreal is the craziest hockey-crazy city on the planet. And if they're voting with their feet or their bums by withholding those bums
Yeah.
from going in and sitting down in a seat that you paid for, that's a serious problem.
Because it is a business, and
Yeah.
not that Montreal's in any danger of
No.
not being profitable, but it's interesting because it could be a Canadian thing. It might not even be Montreal specific, but ticket prices for Canadian teams can be crazy,
Unreal.
and with the Canadian dollar being where it is, people just aren't going to games. We saw it last year in Ottawa in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that there's other points there to make, like they don't play in downtown Ottawa or anything like that. There's location issues. There's always factors, but it's noticeable.
I was just on the ESPN NHL page, and they show the schedule for each night. And the schedule for an upcoming evening has somebody playing in Calgary. And over in the far right-hand side in the screen, they show you ticket prices. Tickets are available from this amount of money. When you click on it, it opens up, I don't think it's StubHub, but it would be a similar service to get tickets. For that Calgary game, the cheapest ticket on the ESPN site was $6.
$6.
$6. Now, I didn't see where that seat was or how you get that seat in Calgary, but I was shocked. And I think that's a scary thing.
$6.
$6. Someone wants to sell, whether they already own the ticket or what. They want to sell a ticket to a Calgary Flames game for $6.
Wow. Because we went to Toronto at the beginning of this year,
Yeah.
and the cheapest ticket that we could get was $89.
Yeah.
Which was still, I felt, not bad
No, I thought
Pretty-
it was.
pretty good.
I felt lucky to get in.
for an NHL game in
Yeah.
Toronto, for sure.
Yeah, I was really thrilled to be able to get in, to walk up to the box office, and we've said this before. I've said it before on one of your shows. That you can't do that in Montreal. You
Yeah.
can't walk up to the box office the day before game day and buy a ticket from the wicket. You just can't. Although now
Well, maybe you can now.
you can.
Yeah.
And that's a little frightening.
So that's a good segue onto the other topic. I want to talk about the Hurricanes because in their second home game, I believe against Columbus, you looked it up,
I did, yeah.
they had 7,892 fans in attendance for that second home game.
And that represents a little over 42% of capacity.
I think they lost about 10,000 from their home opener to their second home game. It's unacceptable.
Well, it's very troubling because as much as the NHL is, more and more about TV rights and broadcast revenue, it's nowhere near where, let's say, some of the soccer games are in the UK.
Oh, there's hundreds
or
of
rugby.
thousands.
Yeah, and you have stadiums in the UK that might only hold 3,000 or 4,000 people, but the TV rights to those games, whether it's soccer or rugby or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
is where the money's made. The NHL doesn't make its money that way yet.
It's going there, but not yet.
And then you have to look at Carolina's TV market.
Yeah, absolutely. And NFL's different too because they only play, I don't know, I don't want to follow the NFL. It's like 14 games or 16 games or whatever.
Yeah.
So usually it's not hard to fill those seats because there's so little games that everyone's just trying to go and see his football when they can. But it sucks. It sucks for Carolina because I don't want to see them move. And with their new owners, they don't want to move them. But you can't have an NHL franchise that only has 8,000 bumps in seats on the on the second. Like, how much worse is it going to get?
That's right.
It's the second home game.
Yeah.
Come on.
And, that same night, Chicago was in Montreal, beat the Canadiens 3-1. Montreal was legally or technically just over a sellout. They sold a few seats more than capacity, probably some standing room or whatever. St. Louis was in MSG playing the Rangers. That was almost a sellout. The Blue Jackets, as you say, were in Carolina. That was abysmal, the turnout there. Nashville, hosting Philadelphia that night, sold out. So the Predators sold out.
Yep.
Dallas was over 90% capacity as they hosted the Red Wings.
Nice.
Vancouver was not a sellout, hosting Ottawa, of all teams.
Oh.
They were in the 90s, but it was,
Still good.
There were some seats left. And Las Vegas, they showed the attendance was over 18,000, but they don't show the capacity in the link that I saw. So I don't know if that's a sellout or not, but 18,000 is not too shabby.
No, not bad. We're almost to the point on the channel where our subscriber amount of people can fill in the size of an NHL rink, which is cool.
That's incredible.
It's pretty awesome. You guys are great.
And I'd accept $6
$6
from each of them. Like I'd accept a Calgary price for that.
What do you mean?
Well, if they wanted to pay $6 to be a subscriber.
What? You want $6 for every person subscribed?
I'm just,
that's a lot of money.
Well, there's a lot of things I want. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought maybe we could talk about the top 10 teams in the NHL and the bottom 10 teams, because it's almost troubling. not troubling because I'm unhappy with it. It's troubling because of my predictions for this year. So let's go to the top 10 first. And in first place, we have Chicago with 9 points.
All right.
Not a shocker.
Not a shocker.
Move
there.
on.
Yeah.
Second place, New Jersey, 8 points.
Wow.
I predicted them to be last in the Eastern Conference. But I'm not upset because for the first time, I'm having fun watching New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm actually really excited, and I'm totally happy that I was wrong with my prediction. And again, I understand it's early.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
New Jersey could totally go to where I predicted them.
Yeah.
But for this little moment in time, I am excited for New Jersey and their fans. So that's cool. And they still have $8.4 million in cap space. So if they keep up the trend that they're on, and they still have that much cap space at the trade deadline, you better believe they're going to make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And not only the playoffs, but the Stanley Cup, obviously. Mm-hmm. In third place is Toronto with 8 points.
That's expected.
There's a huge tie here, all the way up to 10th. They all have 8.
Yeah.
So that's, like you said, totally expected. Fourth is Columbus.
Yeah.
I think Columbus quietly has snuck into that fourth place spot. We knew they'd be good, but not a lot of people are talking about them, probably for that reason. They knew that they would be good. Sergei Bobrovsky's numbers are really, really good. I think he's first or second, in save percentage. Fifth is Tampa Bay with 8 points. Not a shock there. We knew that they would be good. Sixth, Detroit, also 8. That's a shock.
It is.
Jimmy Howard is playing amazing. He is first in save percentage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's
for him.
Playing such a strong hockey right now. So that's great for Detroit. Totally did not predict that. Seventh is Ottawa. Without Carlson, potentially the best player in the world, some think, and you're tied for really second in the league with 8 points.
Yeah.
That's really impressive because we saw Ottawa in the regular season, and even I think it was the first game of the season, they looked absolutely terrible, but they're scoring up a storm and they're playing really well. So I'm wrong there. We'll definitely admit that I was wrong in that prediction so far. 8th, Colorado.
That's the big surprise for me.
What's going on?
That's the big surprise there.
Varlamov's numbers are amazing. He's playing well. Duchesne's scoring. McKinnon's playing well.
Yakupov even lit the light once or twice.
It actually looks like he's fitting into a team, and it honestly makes me happy because we talked about it in the offseason and how we think he has potential, but he's young, right? He's 23 or something like that. You have to let him mature. But if he can fit in Colorado, man, good for him. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
9th is Calgary with 8. Mm-hmm. It's amazing what Calgary can. I mean, I'm not going to attribute all the success here to Mike Smith, but it's amazing watching Calgary with Mike Smith in net, a goalie that can really come to play.
Well, those of those 8 points, 2 of those points came on a road win in Anaheim.
Yes, a topic that we should talk about because they broke finally the curse.
The curse
is broken, which is amazing. Yeah. Who do you think has the most saves in the NHL? What goalie?
I have no idea.
It is Mike Smith from Calgary.
Is it?
211 saves so far. Second place is Jake Allen with 180 saves. So Mike Smith has 31 more saves than the second place goalie. That's another game basically right there.
It is another game. And if I'm the Calgary defensive coach, I'm starting to worry because you shouldn't have that many shots. If the goalie's working that hard, he can't do it forever.
And they have played one more game than most teams, so I guess I'll put that out there. But
Right.
he's 4-2-0. Or, sorry, Calgary's 4-2-0. So, pretty good record. Even though, you're the goalie with the most amount of shots and your team is 4-2-0 and you're tied for second place in the league.
You're doing good.
You got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Where are we? St. Louis is at 10th. That's not a
surprise.
Shock there. With
Yeah.
8, they're tied for second.
Tied for second, really, yeah.
And now if we move over to the bottom 10, in 21st, Boston with 4. Not really a shock. I might think they might be a little above that.
Yeah.
Minnesota with 4 at 22nd position. That makes my prediction look good because I predicted them to be low, but I am a little shocked there. I thought they'd be higher. Same with Dallas in 23rd. They have got 4 points as well. They're a little lower. They made so many moves in the offseason. You really thought that they may be top 10 maybe, but bottom 10.
Wow.
24th is Carolina with 3. And they've got $13 million in cap space. So you have a team that has a great young core. You have a good goalie, 2 good goalies. Cam Ward can still bring it. Scott Darling, unfortunately, they're not having success yet. And you have a fan base that's just kind of not showing up, like we just talked about. And you've got $13 million in cap space. That to me, that doesn't look like commitment from the owners.
Well, no, but do we even know if they have the $13 million?
I don't know, but they need. I think
cap space is one thing, but you may not have the money to pay that.
Totally, but if you don't have the money to pay up to the cap space, then why are you owning an NHL team? Why are you in the NHL business if you can't come to compete? Because it's not fair to your fans. Can you imagine Jeff Molson saying, "Sorry guys, I know the cap space is $74 million this year, but I only got $58 to spend, so just do your best." Like Montreal fans would riot.
They would.
The city would be burned down.
They would.
So it sucks for Carolina.
Yeah.
25th is Vancouver. They've got 3. Not a surprise there. Montreal is 26th with 3. Little shocked, to be honest. I thought they'd play a little bit better. We've already spoke about that.
Yeah.
27, Edmonton. 2 points.
That is a surprise.
Yes.
And I think all of the people who cheer for the bottom 10 list, I know you're not finished it yet, I think there's one thing they can take comfort in. It's so early in the season that you can be guaranteed that 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 of the teams on the bottom half of this list are going to be in the playoffs. And 3 or 4 teams on the top of that list aren't.
Well,
because things will balance out.
Was it last year or the year before that Montreal won their first 10 games? I think it was last year.
October
maybe.
and November, they were lights out.
Yeah, and then they just died.
Yeah.
They just died. And that's what happens. So you can't really take a lot of...
No.
You can't take this to the bank because it's so early. You just can't. It's so hard to predict.
Yeah.
28th is San Jose, and with 2 points. I knew they'd decline. I didn't know that they'd come out to this slow of a start, so that sucks. Especially after signing those big contracts with Joan and I think it was Vlasic, maybe the other one. 29th is the Rangers, 2 points. That's a huge shock to me. Mm-hmm. Lundqvist has not looked that great, to be honest, and it's unfortunate. I think the Rangers will bounce back sooner than anyone on this list. I think they'll play really well soon. 30th is Arizona, $15 million in cap space. If you make all those moves in the offseason, you fire your coach, you bring in different goalie, you do all this stuff, you're not bringing back Doan, you're doing all these things, and you still get $15 million in cap space, use the friggin' money. Just use it. Like, come on, Arizona deserves it. They deserve to have a competitive team. Go out and spend the $15 million, or 10 of it at least, and get a few bodies, get a few guys, and get it done.
Do you think the bottom cap line should be higher to force teams to be more competitive?
No, I'm okay with the floor because some teams are saving it. Like I think Montreal specifically is saving their cap space to see how well the team does. And there's not really anyone out there that can move. There's so many no trade clauses and stuff these days. It's really frustrating. But I know GMs are still trying to make trades, but it is hard. I understand. I'm not saying it's easy, but you'd think that they'd have a little bit more than. Or you think they'd have a little less than $15 million in cap space? Like, use it. Come on, just use it. It sucks for Arizona. And 31st is Buffalo with $5.2 million in cap space. That's really unfortunate because Buffalo. I feel so bad. Like I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing because I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at because you try so hard to do everything right, and it just sucks. It seems like it never gets better, and it's almost like it's a joke because
it's like a bad movie.
it's like it's a bad comedy or something, and
like the guy, he just can't shoot straight.
Yes.
He finally gets his pants on, and then he rips out of them or something.
Hey, you can't say that word.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to bleep that out.
oh, really?
Yeah, you can't say the S word because of iTunes.
Oh,
And I'm gonna have
I
to.
didn't say the S word.
No, I know, but you said the A word.
Oh,
And then you said the D word much earlier. I'm gonna have to be bleeping those out like crazy.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's iTunes' fault. YouTube doesn't care.
Yeah, well, no, but we want to keep iTunes happy, so I'll put my filter back on. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
It's okay.
because I can do polite and appropriate.
Appropriate.
I can just flick a switch, and I'm
For videos, if you want to be a little more on the edge, that's fine.
Yeah.
But for the podcast, it's got to be
Okay.
pretty PG.
well. From this point forward, I'm going to be Mr.
Mr.
Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. Okay. So we've done the top 10. We've done the bottom 10. And there's just a few other things I want to touch on. Las Vegas is 1. They're 3-1-0. I think it's the best start to a season by an expansion team ever. I think it's frustrating for some people because they thought that they'd be at the bottom of the list, and they're not.
They're not.
It's awesome.
All the hockey experts are like, George McPhee's a ding-dong.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He gave away all these good players for nothing.
Yeah.
And now McPhee is sitting back looking at the standings saying, yeah, so far so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. It's pretty cool, and I didn't expect them to start so well in this season so far, but I'm really happy because it's great news for the NHL. Because the better they do from the start, the better retention of fans they'll have, the better ability they'll have to create new fans in the city. People who don't even like hockey and are like, okay, yeah, Las Vegas has an NHL team. I'll go see a game sometime. Then they hear, Las Vegas. Did I say Las Vegas right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
They'll be like, okay, oh, wow, the team's actually winning? I'll go see a game earlier than I originally planned. So it's great that the team's doing well because it's good news for the NHL, regardless of how you feel about hockey being played in Las Vegas in general. If the team's playing well, it's great for the NHL.
And teams that are going into Vegas, in a normal expansion phase, if they were going in to play the Kansas City Scouts or whatever, that'd probably be a good night to sit your starting goalie.
Yeah.
And start your backup. If Vegas is competitive, they're not going to be able to afford to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So the Vegas fans are going to see Bob. They're going to see Carey. They're going to see Matt Murray because those teams need to start those guys if they're going to beat Vegas in their own rink.
Yeah, you can't come to Vegas and expect to win because they're Vegas.
And I think that means a better show.
Absolutely.
And the teams are going to try harder, and the fans are going to get a much better game when they go to watch. I love it.
And it makes the other teams in that division so much more competitive when they come to Vegas.
Yep.
Because you can't, in these interdivisional teams, you can't come into Vegas and think, okay, here we're going to easy divisional
here's
points
a free
here.
one.
Yeah. And they're at the point now where they're going and they're losing. I'm like, what just happened? We just lost to an expansion team, Las Vegas. So it's pretty cool.
And I don't think I've said this before, and if I did, I'm sorry about being repetitive. If you're not following the Las Vegas Golden Knights on Twitter,
It's the best Twitter.
You have to.
It's the best Twitter.
It is the funniest, most engaging, humorous, and self-deprecating. They don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing on Twitter.
Absolutely.
It's hilarious. And if you're not already following them, do it.
They used to follow the Post to Post Twitter when I first created it.
Oh, really?
And the team was first created, but they unfollowed me.
Oh, no.
I assume because this channel was really young, and we weren't making very good videos back then. Not that they'd follow us now because we're making better videos. But
well, I actually tweeted myself something about how great the Las Vegas Golden Knights Twitter feed was, and they liked it.
Oh yeah.
And I think they might even have retweeted it.
Oh.
So I thought it was pretty good. Like, they don't follow me either, but
yeah.
It is just, it's so entertaining. And when they were on this little run, when they started off 3-0, all the teams in professional sports who were expansion teams that started off 3-0, here's the list. Just them, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think they were playing the Ducks in the preseason, and they said, here's the Ducks opening lineup. And then they had all the names from the movie, like the the movie in the 90s,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Ducks or whatever, and they had the names of the kids in the movie. Here's the opening lines.
I think it's
funny,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, whoever's doing it is genius.
The last topic I have for as far as the NHL is concerned is Ovechkin. 9 goals in 6 games. Kuznetsov, 11 assists in 6 games. Backstrom, 11 assists in 6 games. You think they want to win? I think they want to win. And that's what I was betting on with my prediction. And I know it's the regular season. They always do good in the regular season. But there's something about Ovechkin right now that's different than last year.
It looks like he has another gear.
Yeah.
And that's scary for everybody else.
We mentioned this last week because he lost weight. He spent time working out in the off season, which was great. He honestly, he looks 5 years younger, and it's exciting. It's really exciting.
It is, and I think that the challenge will be for them. They'll the way they're playing, they're going to get out in front like usual. They're going to have 120 points, and they're going to look back, and then the 8th place team is going to play them. And are they going to be able to keep that momentum going into the playoffs? That's where they've always fallen down before.
That's where they've always come to the gate. They get to the gate and they can't get through the gate. It's just, I don't get it. But
yeah.
So that's basically all I have for the NHL topics. I do have some more topics that I'd like to talk about.
Yes, please.
So if you're only here for the NHL regular season talk, I guess this is where your bus gets your stop on the bus. But hopefully you can keep listening. So. We opened up a package of cards, or a box of cards recently from NHLCardTrader.com. We got a very interesting card, if you want to call it that. It was actually a printing plate, and it was a Marc-Andre Fleury 1-of-1 printing plate, the yellow, because there's 4 of them, CMYK, Y being yellow. So we got the yellow version of that plate, and it's awesome. It's a 1-of-1. It's so rare and unique. It's a huge prized possession. I'm thrilled.
And in a different pack, I think, in the same box, we got the card.
The actual card that it made.
Yeah. So that's cool.
It'd be cool to get them both framed somehow in like this little frame side by side. That would be really neat.
Do you have any idea what it might be worth?
It's not much. It's like $100, I think, or something like that.
But, it's worth a lot more to us, right?
Yeah, it's totally, yeah.
To you, yeah.
I know Justin wants it. He said he's going to try and work up a deal. But Justin, if you're listening, I don't know if you have anything that we can make a trade with.
Looking at the stuff on the wall behind him when he's doing his video shots, there's nothing I want there.
Yeah, no, it's all Pittsburgh stuff. Sorry, Justin. You'll have to get something pretty good for us to trade you for that. So some other unrelated hockey stuff is mostly More Post to Post, our second channel.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not aware of it, you should be, because we do make other videos and post them on there. So it is called More Post to Post. And recently we saw Blade Runner, the movie Blade Runner, and we thought, because we love sci-fi, and we thought, what better way to go into the movie than to go into the movie with the intention of making a movie review afterwards. So that's what we did. We went in, we looked at all the little stuff, we paid attention to the little stuff because we knew we wanted to talk about it. And I think that's a good way to watch a movie, because it forces you to think more about what's going on. It forces you to remember certain parts of the movie that you want to talk about. So it was pretty cool. And that video is up on the More Post to Post channel. We had a lot of fun doing that. It was suggested that we maybe do a few more of those. I think the Kingsman movie.
Yeah.
I don't think you saw the first one.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did, surprisingly. I loved it.
Did you really?
I loved it.
I was going to say, I commented back and I said, when it comes to Blu-ray, maybe we can do it, because I didn't think that you'd be interested.
Some night last winter, it was a snowy night, and we found it on TV and watched it, and it was great.
Really? So would you be interested in going to see the second or the sequel?
I sure would.
Okay. Oof.
And I think I'd want to rewatch the first one just to
I would too.
Remind myself.
Yeah.
But it's one of the few movies that I can actually remember.
That surprises me.
After watching it.
Like if I was going to choose any movie that came out in the past 2 years, at the bottom 5 of your list, I probably would have put that movie. But I'm so glad that you liked it. That's amazing.
There.
Awesome. Well, we'll have a movie review of Kingsman, the new Kingsman movie coming up.
Coming right up.
There's lots of other movies too that I want to see, and I think that would be cool for us to discuss. I know a lot of people aren't into movies and movie reviews, but it is something that we like to do, so we'll keep doing it.
Well, ourselves being in the business.
Business.
You want to talk about Harvey Weinstein?
No.
Speaking of movies.
No. The next video that we made recently was the NBA logos.
Oh, yeah.
And It got some interesting feedback.
I can imagine. I didn't look at the commentary, but
As much as you say that it's a subjective list and that we're not basketball fans,
no one hears that.
no one hears that. Well, people hear it, but
Sure, yeah.
a lot of people don't hear it, and it's it's frustrating because you have to comment back, and it's like, this is just a fun list, a subjective list, right? Like there's no right or wrong here. They don't care. They're just come to spew hate. That's fine, whatever. But it was interesting to go through because we don't watch basketball, but we like logos. So it's going to be interesting to go through some of the other professional sports teams like soccer, the Premier League, and there's CFL, and there's there's junior baseball leagues, there's college basketball, there's college football, there's all kinds of stuff. And we're going to be going through all of that stuff in the next 5 years, I guess. There's so many teams and leagues. So,
Yeah,
but
that's one good thing. There's no shortage of material.
no, yeah, you could do it forever.
And you mentioned something that to me that I would love to do, and that's talk about
Right.
NASCAR.
Yeah, because you're a big NASCAR guy.
Huge NASCAR fan.
And someone suggested for us to rank the designs of the cars, which
Wow.
well, I'm going to leave that to you, or maybe you can leave it to me, and then you can rank your favorite drivers, your favorite to least favorite, basically.
Yeah, I think I'd rather. You've got more of an artistic brain than I do.
Okay.
Like I'm going to just like I cheer for Montreal. I have certain drivers or
Yeah.
teams I cheer for in NASCAR, and I really don't care what the car looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
All right, well, you can do one NASCAR video, and I'll do the other one. And
nice. I'm looking
yeah.
forward to that. I'm excited. Today, I mean, we're even taping this late because Talladega ran so long with a bunch of red flags
Yeah,
at the end, the big wreck, and then the other big wreck, and then the other big wreck,
yeah.
and Eric Almirola, who's I cheer for the Petty team, the 43 car. Eric won't be around next year for Petty.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know
already
that.
been announced that he's moving on or going somewhere else. He just hasn't worked out, I guess, and that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. But he was 32nd, with about 30 laps to go. He was 32nd at the tail end of the lead lap, and he finished fifth.
Yeah, and he had a little wreck after the finish line.
Yeah, he actually finished fifth, going practically sideways across the start-finish line. So I'm kind of pumped.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
There's two more topics here. I just thought I'd give you guys a heads up on what are the videos to come on the channel this week, or maybe not. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Not this week, but upcoming videos on Post to Post that we are planning. We are filming soon, so I'll just go through. It's not a long list here. So there are some more card unboxing or breaks, or I don't know the proper term. I'm not a card person, but there are more card box breaks coming on the channel from NHLCardTrader.com. I think
They're fun to do.
They're really fun to do.
They're so fun to do.
And there's two more of those coming. There's an Upper Deck box sponsored by someone on Patreon, Joe or Joey, and then there's an Artifact card unboxing video coming. So there's 4 filmed, filmed. They'll be releasing over the next 2 weeks. I think Justin's gonna take a look back at the 2004 draft. I think that's a video he's gonna do
Cool.
sometime in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna look at the KHL jerseys. We're going to look at the SHL jerseys white, and we're gonna do Q&A number 4. I think it is 4 or 5. I think it's 4.
Oh, good.
And we're gonna talk about the Hansel hit on Weber, which you haven't seen yet.
I haven't. When did that happen? Is that
I believe it happened Thursday night or
Okay.
Friday night.
Yeah, I was on the road in the U.S. and
Yeah.
didn't have much access to sports TV when I was away. So
That's a video that we'll probably film first. Maybe
Okay.
maybe first thing tomorrow, like not tomorrow morning, but I mean tomorrow night, whatever.
yeah,
Because it's important. And I am going to make another NHL 2018 video. I apologize. There's so much going on with the start of the season and stuff. We just had a lot of other videos to make. I am planning on doing an NHL video at some point this week. I'm not exactly sure when, but NHL 2018 EA Sports video is coming soon. I don't know what it's going to be. I think I have to do the draft for the Swamp Rabbits to get into the season. I can't remember, but that video is coming. Don't worry. And then I'd like you to do the history of the Los Angeles Kings sometime over the next month, because someone requested. Actually, a few people requested that they miss the history of series. So
I do too.
it's time. It
and
takes a long time to do those videos.
It's a long time, not only for me but for you. The production of it is something I can't even fathom how you do all that, but you do it. And thankfully, we've done the original 6, which some of them have history that extends beyond 100 years ago. So now with the Kings and the Penguins and the Flyers.
Yeah,
you
Kings next, and then Philadelphia, and then I can't remember the
know,
next.
Pittsburgh, St. Louis.
Yeah.
You know, the other new 6 teams that came in 1967, 68. They're going to be easier just because they haven't had that much history. So,
Right.
So I'll be able to do those a little quicker. But there's lots going on in our lives as well, in my life in particular. And, you know, the job is demanding a lot of my brain power. And
You're doing some teaching on Tuesday nights.
Doing teaching on Tuesday
I'm doing
nights.
some filming of you teaching on Tuesday
right,
nights.
yeah.
So my Tuesday nights are shot.
And in a couple of weeks, we have I'm hosting several radio specialists who are coming here to PEI to spend a week and string out some antennas and things, and that's going to take an awful lot of my time. And we have company coming from out west, and there's other things going on. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but I just made a whole bunch of excuses.
That's okay. And we have a few other specific videos to film for our Patreon people. So anyone on Patreon who's contributing at a certain level gets a personalized video from us. We talk about a topic of their choosing. Yeah. Some people have chosen hockey-related topics. Some people have chosen travel-related topics. Doesn't matter what the topic is. We film it. We talk about it. And that's one of the perks of one of the levels. So
they're fun to do too. Personal.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah. So we talk directly to that person. So that is one of the perks. If you're interested in contributing on Patreon, we do have lots of levels, depending on how much you want to spend. As little as $1 a month. Just, you know, hey, here's a tip. You guys, I like what you guys do. Here's $1. Totally fine.
And this is not income for you. It's money that gets plowed back into the technology that makes this thing go.
I don't spend the money on cheeseburgers and stuff. I buy stuff for the channel. And one of the things we're going to do is buy a better editing machine for the videos. So I'll be able to edit a lot faster. I'm going to take the computer that I'm having now, and I was thinking maybe actually put it down here and use that as a live stream computer. We'll be able to live stream a lot more, and that'll be awesome. And that's pretty much it. So I really appreciate everyone contributing on Patreon. And if you'd like a personalized video, sign up on Patreon, and we'll hit you with that. I think that's it. That's all I got for this podcast. We're at around 52 minutes.
Not bad.
You good?
I'm great.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for today. Appreciate you guys listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. We come up with podcasts every Sunday, or we film them every Sunday. Sometimes they're a little late getting out because depending on what we're doing and stuff, but we're trying to be consistent. We post daily videos. So if you guys could subscribe if you're new, that would be awesome. If you're listening on iTunes, we really appreciate that. We're also on Google Play Music. So if you're listening or you're watching, we really appreciate your viewership or your listenership, whatever you're doing to get you to this point. I love you. So thank you. And that wraps this one up, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Adios.